Hello class, this video is to help you understand the rule of signs. First, let's talk about the rule of sign regarding adding and subtracting. Okay, please write this down in your notebook. When you are adding, okay, when the signs are the same, you add and you keep the sign of the numbers you are adding. Okay, so let's see right here. For instance, if I were to do 3 plus 2, 3 is positive and 2 is positive, so my answer is positive. Okay, so the same goes with negative 3 minus 2. Remember, negative 3 minus 2 is the same as negative 3 plus negative 2. Okay, these two expressions are equivalent. Okay, so you can clearly see that the two numbers are negative. So you add them, you still do 3 plus 2, 5, but your answer would be negative because you are adding negative numbers. Okay, so it would be negative 5. Okay, and this is understandable. Okay, we can use the number line to demonstrate it. For example, this 3 plus 2 means that I'm starting at 3 on the number line. Okay, and I'm going 2 in the positive direction. So if I go 1, 2 in the positive direction, I will find myself at 5. And that's what this means. Okay. Now, what does this mean? This means that I'm starting at negative 3 on the number line. If I start at negative 3 on the number line, and I go 2 in the negative direction, 1, 2, I will find myself at negative 5. Okay. So whenever the signs are the same, you add and you keep the sign, okay, of the numbers. Now, what if the signs are different? Okay, you subtract, okay, the sign of the number with the greatest absolute value wins. Okay, now this sound more complicated than it really is. All this is saying is that the number that you have more of, the sign of that number stays. Okay, with the example, it will make more sense, hopefully. Okay, for instance, if I do negative 3 plus 2, okay, since I have more of the negative that I have of the positive, I will subtract. I will do 3 minus 2, that's 1, but my answer would be negative 1 because I have more of the negative than I have of the positive. Okay, so the answer would be negative 1. Okay, if I have 3 minus 2, remember this is the same as 3 plus negative 2. Okay, here again, the sign of the number are different, so we subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1, but because we have more of the positive here, our answer will be positive 1. Okay, maybe a few more examples for this one. 4 minus 5. Okay, again, if it helps, rewrite it as subtracting a number is adding the opposite. So it would be 4 plus negative 5. Again, you can clearly see that the sign of the numbers are different. So you subtract 5 minus 4 is 1, but because you have more of the negative, so your answer is negative 1. Okay, let's do a few more. What is negative 7 plus 3? Okay, the sign are different. You subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4, but because I have more of the negative, my answer would be negative 4. Okay, what is negative 2 minus negative 8? Now, this may seem confusing, okay? But you might need to rewrite this so you can clearly see. Anytime you have two negative following each other this way, they cancel each other out. So basically, it's like you are taking away the negative, okay? Or you can think of it as subtraction is adding the opposite, meaning you'll end up with negative 2 plus positive 8. So these are equivalent. So even though the sign look the same, they are still different. So what you need to do, you subtract 8 minus 2 is 6, but the answer would be positive 6 because you have more of the positive than you have negative. So positive 6. Okay, let's do one more. Negative 9 plus 4. Okay, again here your answer would be negative 5 because you are doing 9 minus 4, that's 5, but since you have more negative than positive, your answer would be negative 5. Okay, one last one, 10 minus 2. This one we are used to, okay? In this context is still 10 plus negative 2. You are still subtracting. 10 minus 2 is 8, but the answer would be positive 8 because you have more of the positive than you have the negative. So the answer is positive 8. Note, you can use the number line to demonstrate this as well. Okay, let me demonstrate it for a couple of these numbers. Okay, the first one, if I start, for example, at negative 3 and I go 2 in the positive direction, I will find myself at negative 1. Okay, so if I start at negative 3, okay, and I move 2 in the positive direction, so 1, 2, you see that I find myself at negative 1. So that's what this means. Okay, and this one means what? If I start at positive 3, okay, and I move 2 in the negative direction, okay, start at positive 3 and I go 1, 2 in the negative direction, I will find myself at positive 1. Okay, that's what this means. So you can also visualize your work through the number line. Okay, I hope this helped. The next video is about the rule of sign for multiplication and division. Okay, so two things to keep in mind when you are adding or subtracting integers or numbers. If the way it's written look confusing to you, you might need to rewrite it like what we did here. Okay, so that you can clearly see that the sign are the same or different. Okay, one way to see same sign, you could have something like this, for example, 5, okay, minus negative 3. Okay, this may look as though the sign are different, but they are in the same. If I rewrite this, I will get what? 5 negative, and whenever you have two negative following each other, okay, think of it as adding the opposite or taking away the negative. So that would be plus positive 3. Okay. So you realize the signs are the same. So you add, and your answer is 8. I hope this helped. See you in the next